All right, here we are from Nissan Stadium for the last time from the 2021 season. And I know everybody coming in here hoped we would all, many of us, would be here next week. Unfortunately, did not pan out that way. And for the third time, as the number one seed in the AFC, 2000, 2008, now 2021 Tennessee Titans sent home twice by the Ravens and now by the Cincinnati Bengals. Thoroughly unimpressive fashion. Not by the defense, that's for sure. Defense unbelievable with 9 sacks. Jeffrey Simmons, unfathomable how impressive he was. Um, but not enough. Ryan Tannehill, really not enough with the 3 interceptions. And offense just couldn't get it done. You talk about Henry and Brown and Jones together, and certainly A.J. Brown was ridiculous today. 142 receiving yards, franchise record for the playoffs. Julio Jones contributed, about what you would have estimated he could do, 6 for 62. But this was no monster. Derrick Henry, 20 for 62. It's 3.1 yard average. Really nothing to write home about. And Ryan Tannehill, despite those numbers to the receivers, 15 for 24, touchdown, 3 picks. Really bad. Really, really bad. And just not enough. This team's missing something. And I do think that 2 years of home playoff losses with division titles, one in the wild card round, one is the number one seed in the divisional round, is a problem. Qualifies as a trend to me. Taylor Lewan said it didn't to him. A lot of debate about going for two. I mean, stop calling it a field goal, people. That's called the point after, extra point. You kick that, you're up a point, sets up a whole different game where the Bengals are, behind. And if they're behind, it's a different deal. And you want them to be behind. I think he thought, 1 yard line's too good to be true, and you could just have it. Aaron Rodgers did just lose to Garoppolo. It's not strictly a quarterback thing by any means, but Ryan Tannehill hasn't written himself any kind of postseason. Brett Russell hasn't written himself any kind of postseason legacy, resume. Good quarterbacks do. Aaron Rodgers has written himself a postseason legacy. It's not as good as it should be, but he's won a Super Bowl. So Aaron Rodgers is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Ryan Tannehill isn't a guy who's won playoff games. He's won 2 playoff games, but they were really Derrick Henry wins. They count, certainly, and it doesn't have to be the quarterback. But 2 times last year, heading into the fourth quarter, they were down a touchdown against Baltimore. This year, heading into the fourth quarter, they were tied. And in those 2 fourth quarters, in that 30 minutes of football, Ryan Tannehill has, let me get these numbers in front of me. Eight for 12, 71 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, 22.9 passer rating. I doubt Aaron Rodgers is doing that even in his worst moments. Doubt it very, very highly. All right, we'll get into some questions here. Thanks for coming. Kemper, hope you had a big day out there. I've got this new great light, but I think it must have ran out of charge. And I think I look all right, but I can't get it to come on. Oh, there it is. Boom! Gonna put it here. Oh, look how good I look now. I get some reflection. I do look better. I mean, I don't really care what you told me last year, Zell, but Tannehill is here for at least one more year. Money mandates it. How can they be that bad to start a game every week? That's a really good question. And Tannehill throwing a pick on the first play from scrimmage for the offense is just ridiculous. Having a hard time squaring the Titans. This is Russell. Squaring the Titans can't win because their quarterback. Talk with what you just saw in Green Bay. Yeah, we covered this. Great legacy quarterbacks have bad games sometimes. Tom Brady doesn't play terrific all the time. Aaron Rodgers doesn't play terrific all the time. But Ryan Tannehill needs to play terrific some of the time. See what happens there? I would not expect any firings. Look, Vrabel's not going to look at the one game result in the playoffs. He's going to look at this 18 game result. The 18 game result is that they won 12 and lost 6. It's just the way it works. Is it safe to say the Titans are kind of stuck roster-wise due to the cap situation? Well, I mean, they're stuck quarterback-wise. And listen, for everybody that wants Tannehill out, I want you to tell me who you want in. And don't say anybody else, because they're not anybody else would have won 12 games with this team this year. But they're stuck at quarterback. And they're going to have to lose some guys, probably. Hopefully, you'll be able to re-sign Ben Jones. He'd be a priority. You don't want to have to restart at center, and he's still been pretty good. You want to go short term there, and maybe I don't know. I think they like Brewer a lot, but I don't know that they're ready to move on. And Harold Landry, to me, you got to re-sign. You finally develop an in-house pass rusher. You need to keep him. Otherwise, you're going to be in a hole again where you're an outside linebacker short. And look at what this defensive front did today. Yeah. Eric, if you're thinking of the one I'm thinking of, this was A.J. Brown's fault. A.J. Brown ran, and he took a little step inside, and then he went back and went. And he was supposed to keep going. A.J. Brown made a mistake on that route. Tannehill playoff 6-game average, 12 for 28, 126 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. That's fine. I'm not going to count against him what he did in New England when they won, because Henry was running wild. What he did in Baltimore when they won because Henry was running wild. Or even what he did in Kansas City when they were just simply overmatched by the Chiefs in the AFC playoff game. I'm not going to string him up for their 2019 playoff run. These last 2 years, Henry was stopped by Baltimore. Henry was ineffective today. They needed a Tannehill takeover. If you read my column, they did not get that. That's when they needed it. Tannehill was off a lot. I mean, he made the one great throw to Brown in the end zone. Really was his best throw that Brown caught with one hand on his hip. Was great. I thought this too, Facebook guy. Tannehill, I wrote, was iffy with the accountability department. He says we a lot. Traditionally, what you do as a quarterback is you say I, and you fall on the sword. You take the blame, whether you deserve it or not. And he certainly deserved it today. And then everybody's got your back. I didn't like the way he talked after this game. Second to last drive from the 35-yard line when they needed 1 yard. You had 2 cracks at 1 yard. Is that when you wanted to kick a field goal? I don't know. 2 cracks at 1 yard. I'd get the 1 yard. Tannehill's got to get it on 3rd and 1. Henry's got to get it on 4th and 1. Bad job. Bad job by the offensive line on those plays. Bad job by Tannehill. Bad job by Henry. I don't care so much about this. If you've got Julio Jones and A.J. Brown and your offense is built to key on those guys, why do they have to throw to other people? News to Tom. I mean, I think a lot of the year we were bitching that they're too reliant on Westbrook-Akina And I don't want to see him throwing to Jeff Swain. Let's get AJ healthy and out there. Let's get Julio Jones healthy and out there. They weren't stopping AJ Brown. I wish they threw to AJ Brown more. AJ Brown had 9 targets. I would have been fine with 13. Yeah, Russell Vrabel's got a losing playoff record. I mean, Vrabel's a good coach. So no, I don't have any question about that. Facebook guy says 3 times they needed 1 yard. So the 2 we talked about, the 3rd and 1, the 4th and 1, and the 2-point conversion, and they whiffed all 3 times. I agree here, Alejandro. Stuck with Tannehill at least for 1 more year. Get him a great tight end and another wide receiver to go with AJ and Henry. I haven't looked at Julio's numbers. I'm not sure how pinned in they are with him. They need another very good wide receiver. They need a tight end that they could use like Johnny. The tight ends were insufficient this year, and that was unfortunate, and I don't know why. They felt like everything would be all right. So, Brian, that kind of answers your question as well. Russell, you're right. There's no quarterback upgrade available for this team. Jarrett, I don't know that Jim Schwartz, as a consultant, he's more than a consultant, but as a senior defensive assistant, did as much as people want to imagine. Shane Bowen got much better personnel and got the full title and was allowed to focus completely as defensive coordinator. The key was personnel. The personnel. Danico Autry, Bud Dupree, way better. The Titans got way better because their pass rush got way better. So retooling the personnel on offense, you need to get way better. Yeah. You don't have to be way, way better, but you need to be better. So where's that start? I think we just said tight end would be a big help. Henry healthy through the season would be a good help, even though, he's a home run threat more than the run game was without him. Brett, I agree. It goes to show you how difficult it is to win a championship, but they got to do it. I mean, Marty, I think it's back to the drawing board. They gotta watch what these teams who win now do, figure out what the missing ingredient is here. But I don't think it's an easy answer. More offensive weapons, Alejandro said. I would agree with that. You also got to figure out this offensive line. Like, it got better as the season went on, but you can't start next year and pass protect poorly like you did for much of this year. Got to pass protect well from the start. I think Lawan will be a lot better next year. I agree with him that he'll be back. Who's trading for Ryan Tannehill, Steven, and his big contract? Who's trading for him? Who's trading for the $29 million? Go ahead, list the teams. And who's replacing him? So you're dealing with you don't want him, but you're not replacing him. Who's the guy that's going to come in and win 12 games at quarterback? So you think Eric thinks that the Texans want him. Texans have made it pretty clear they're not taking a quarterback for Watson. They're going to go with Mills and wait a year to draft a quarterback is what seems to be going on there. And you think that if Seattle's going to trade Russell Wilson, that what they want back for him is Ryan Tannehill and picks? Trade fantasy land you're living in. Titans very slow starting offense, Brett. You're absolutely right on that. And that should be one of the main objectives. They've got to get better. I think they scored 17 points on opening drives this year, which is just ridiculous. Yeah. Detroit is stupid to have taken Goff. Stupid. And Stafford was very expensive too. So there was an exchange of very expensive quarterbacks there. I think they like him. I think they like Tannehill a lot. Chris, my damn phone uh, does this too. It changes carries, like carries of the ball, to carries like a woman named Carrie possess it. It drives me crazy. He wasn't very good, Henry, and Foreman might have had more success, but it wouldn't have mattered if Tannehill wasn't busy throwing picks. I agree with this from Facebook. Cap space issues and 2 years of bad draft picks start to bite you now. And I mean, do they have a right tackle yet? Quesenberry can't play right tackle for this team next year. So is Radens capable of doing that, or is he a guard? Have they discovered he's a guard, or is he going to be a right tackle? If he's a guard, they really fucked up drafting him in the second round. No news to Tom. That sacks comment was pretty much it, and it was asinine what Vrabel said about the sacks. You guys are all about the sacks. We didn't have enough last year. Maybe we had too many this year. So stupid. I think Lawan will be a lot better. Kim, you kidding here, or was there some report or something? I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo just got to the NFC Championship game. So we're talking about Rodgers losing. How come we're not talking about Garoppolo winning? Tannehill is as good as Garoppolo. This is a very good question, Brett. Whether routes should clear those out or not, he's got to see them. He's got to see these underneath guys. Um, and he's got to stop saying, a guy made a good play. Sometimes a guy makes a great play. I think on the Bell interception where he was throwing for Rodgers, I think Bell makes a great play, but I think he also telegraphs what's going on there and has to have more of a sense. King not, I mean, Tannehill and Todd are not going to be gone. So if that's your offseason dream, you're just going to be miserable. There were some bad missed tackles. Fulton in particular on the short ball, the chase, just terrible. These guys, Alejandro, I think, are more likely to come in the draft than in free agency. Contracts that are up, the two big ones, Alan, are Landry and Ben Jones. Well, think about Simmons. You'd like to get a deal done, in July or August. You got to worry about Landry and Jones and stuff like that first. Get your roster together. Then ideally, you don't have a big first year cap hit on Simmons. But if you don't get it done, you get a franchise tag in your pocket. Like you get a franchise tag in your pocket now with Landry. This is a good point. I mean, everybody wanted Shane Bowen fired last year. Um, I don't think Downing did great work, but again, you win 12 games. I think calling for people to be fired is over the top. King, he's not a real quarterback. He's a backup. He won 12 games. He quarterbacked the best team in the AFC. I understand you have some qualms with him for sure, and he was shitty today. But you can't say he's a backup. I mean, how many teams in the league would take him as their starter? A good share. Half, maybe. A third for sure. He can't God stink. John Robinson can't make a move for a new quarterback. Let me talk you through the cap here. It seems like you're unaware of the cap. He has a $38.6 million cap number this year. Cutting him would mean a $57.4 million dead money cap hit. That's about half of the cap. Okay? There's no way he finds somebody to trade for the portion of the 38.6 that they would have to take. I think it's inconceivable. So I don't understand how you think they can get rid of him. I don't understand it. It's not a matter of balls. There was a search for an answer on this. I wasn't that concerned with it. Patrick is asking this too. I don't know what there was to read. Like, it was an inside play, and I don't know what there was to read. Yeah, on this stuff, UM is asking. The lack of urgency on the last drive seemed weird because they had a lot of yards to get to. So I think they were kind of it was weird, and they needed to go faster because it seemed like they were really then forced to look for one big chunk play to get Randy Bullock in range for the field goal they would have needed to win it, 1916 their way. So they were going too slow, or they were really counting on like they had some magical play that was going to gain them the yardage that they needed. Way too slow. But if they hit that play, what they were looking to do was kill the clock. What did they have? To kick it with no time on the clock. What did they have left timeout wise? I'm not sure. They would have had maybe 2 plays there. Wouldn't you want 3 or potentially 4? Well, they certainly did this, Stephen. I don't know if he got out coached. I mean, he could have bled the clock and got the field goal. I mean, once Tannehill threw the interception, there was no way the Titans could win the game. No way. Yeah, Vrabel's reaction to the sack thing was just ridiculous. Hilliard had 3 catches. Blasingame had a target. Ferkser had a target. I don't know why people want those guys targeted. Like, if you're going with Jones and Brown, great. Finally. Giving you your money's worth, Juan. Giving you your money's worth. So, Steven, you're saying if somebody has a big run, then you have to run on the next play? That's your rule? So if somebody has a big pass, you can't run on the next play, you have to pass? It's an odd rule. Odd rule. So if you have a success with a run or a pass, your rule is you have to do the same thing the next play. Doesn't make much for balance. I agree with this absolutely, Joe. Failed 2-point try from the 1-yard line, 3rd and 4th and 1. Team built like the Titans has to get those. Also agree with this, Ed. Rabbit dropping that pick, just awful. Facebook user asks, so why should I continue to support this franchise? Because you can't help it. Because you're probably from Nashville or you have some roots with this team. It's what you do. I mean, look, you're not the Lions. You're not the Jaguars. You're not the Texans. Your team got beat in the playoffs. It sucks. They should have done better. But don't make it like you've got it the worst of anybody ever. You've got it better than a lot of people. Your team's been in the playoffs 3 consecutive years with one run to the AFC Championship game. It's not enough. They should do better. But, you know, you had a bye week. Here's my thing about 2-point conversions in that situation. If you get it, I agree with it. If you don't get it, I disagree with it. No, I thought they should have kicked it. If you kick it for a lead, I think you should kick it. Do I think there's room, Stoney, for a shiftier, smaller speed option in the receiving core? Yes. Do I think that they will go that direction? No. I think that Tannehill likes the bigger guys. I think that's the offense. This is a big physical offense, and I think that they will continue to look for guys with speed who are big and fast and physical. Now, D.N. Smith says he's been a Lion fan for 30 years also. If you're a Titans fan and a Lions fan, you are, in fact, a fan of no one. Sorry, bud. That's how it works. You can't have 2 teams. You don't have 2 teams. You have 1 team. I prepare people for suckification, Robert Price says. I will tell you this, a lot of people, not of members, but a lot of people who give me a lot of shit a lot of times this season were looking for me today in the press conferences. I'll tell you that. Fitzpatrick sucked. And I mean, McNath was drafted to be a special teamer. I don't give much of a shit about guys who are drafted to be a special teamer. I'm not a draft Nick like a lot of people, but I mean, if you're talking about 6th, 7th rounders who are just, Brady Breeze and Racing McMath, I don't care. Yeah, Ricky Hutton's not going to be dejected because he didn't think, because he thought the Titans were making a run. I picked the Titans to go to the Super Bowl last year. I mean, you make a pick. Yeah, well, who's reporting a car wreck before the game? Yeah, this is ridiculous, Brett. As disappointing as this is, it's so much better than 2-14, 3-13. Some of y'all have gotten spoiled to where Vrabel has taken us. Got to do better in the playoffs, but we're a perennial division contender. When, Brett, does the 2-14 and the 3-13 expire? When will you stop saying, "Hey, remember we used to be 2-14 and 3-13, and this is so much better than that"? Like, is there an expiration date on that? I would think you're long past that. Like, the team went through a short era where it absolutely sucked after the owner died and his son-in-law made a stupid hire and the talent was terrible and the GM was terrible. But is that forever the thing? Like, I mean, the team's way better than that now. So why do we have to refer to that? What's that have to do with today? Today, a 12-5 team lost to a team it should beat at home when it's rested and the Bengals are beat up and all of that. So why is the reference point 2-14 or 3-13? The reference point should be today. The reference point should be this year's standings and last year's standings. The period of time the Titans are in now. Why is today's reference point rock bottom for the Titans? Well, remember, we used to really suck. So we should be really thankful that we're losing in the divisional round now because we don't really suck anymore. That makes no sense. Get out of here with that. I'm not sure how many years Foreman has been in. I mean, if he has the freedom to go elsewhere, we were talking in the press corps about his opportunity to go elsewhere, and he's going to have more opportunity elsewhere. But if the Titans have his rights, he'll be back. This is Jeff's. He just finished his third year. So going into his fourth year, yes, this spring they'll have to pick up his fifth-year option. It's a mere formality. What else we got? We've been in here 31 minutes. That's a record post game. It's fucking 11:15. I do not know, Chris, how much longer this Super Bowl run window is open. I don't know if it ever opened because they haven't made the run. There you go. This maybe is the final comment from Stoney. It's okay to be pissed off about this. I'll skip the Southernism. No one's going to take your fan card. You can both support this team and acknowledge what a shitting of the bed tonight was. Absolutely correct. Well said. Well said. I wouldn't have minded more Foreman, but I don't think they would have won the game if Foreman played more necessarily. I think the interceptions were more than they can handle. I think that they might work to extend Jeff in July and August. Titan special teams, I just don't understand why Craig Ackerman is such a valued piece of the organization, the way Vrabel acts. And he's such a smug ass. AJ, they should be working on an extension for also. And when I did say Simmons, they have the Simmons, they have the fifth-year option on. So Simmons be under contract for a fifth year. Then they would have the franchise tag available for AJ if they don't get him extended. So, dude, I mean, if the Titans aren't nationally respectable for being a top seed in the AFC, they're in the Final Four. I mean, it's not. They didn't go to the Super Bowl. They didn't win the Super Bowl. They didn't make the AFC Championship game. But this idea that they're like not nationally respectable seems silly to me. I mean, they outlasted the Patriots. Are they nationally respectable? They outlasted the Ravens. Are they nationally respectable? They outlasted the Steelers. Are they nationally respectable? I think some of it is a little much. Yeah, I could see that, Kemper. But, I have a big game like this. If your franchise has a big game like this, you show out. Win or lose, right? I don't know. In a lot of places, I'm trying to think of a comparable team. Yeah. Well, let's look at Cleveland. Cleveland's finally decent. Nobody in Cleveland has to ask anybody to show up. They show up. They're fans of their team. Went to the playoffs last year. It's a fucking huge deal. This year they disappointed. They got hurt. They had COVID. Next year they'll probably be pretty good again. But in Cleveland, the fans, the players don't have to fucking hold press conferences to ask fans to show up. Hey, please come to the game. Please be loud. Really help us out. It's not the way it works in most markets when a team gets a bye and goes to the division. So, I mean, I'm sympathetic. I know you're upset, John, but I mean, this city needs to get to a place where, it's a little less fair weather. And when there's a big game, you just show up and go. I know you will. I know a lot of people that will, but I understand you're upset tonight. I understand everybody's upset tonight. Should be upset tonight. Should be upset tonight. I'm sympathetic. I am. I understand. And I'm sorry for all of you. I know you got a lot invested in this and it sucks. I know what it feels like. I've watched my team choke a lot over the last 10 years. Yankees have done it to me time and time again. 12 years. So have another one. Hit the hay. Hopefully we'll watch some good games tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. Titans are not getting together tomorrow at all. Final media stuff will be on Monday. So we'll try to have a get together after that. Do some reviewing. Outkick 360 on Monday, 2 to 5. We will get into this very thoroughly. I wouldn't expect much from your flagship station after they said the Titans choked. I think they're going to get an earful from the team that they pay to broadcast their games, who's run by a Bengals fan. Be well. Thanks for coming. It's a really good conversation. I hope it helped you digest some of this, and I appreciate you all very, very much. Have a good night. Cheers.